talking about a very, very silent relations that is currently being built on the eastern flank of the Sahel region, and this is Jamena. According to the information we have from Le Monde, which is a French mainstream journal, there's a France's military quietly prepares for a return to Chad. That is the information we are receiving from Le Monde right now. But matter of fact, I don't know why they are making this information look in a certain way, latent. All right. But the fact is that the French forces have already returned to the Sahel. About a week ago, we heard that the French forces are about to deploy about 700, okay, provisional troops to Jamena. But now they are now releasing the information now quietly that France's military quietly prepares for a return to Chad. Now, why are they returning quietly? That's the big question we need to ask. About a year ago, Jamena publicly, you know, told France to leave. They told France to leave. Some people said they were trying to play along with the geopolitical situation across the Sahel states. So when the whole vibe was France equally told the Jamena equally told France to leave. And after some months after, there was this latent information. They were trying to keep everything, sweep it under the carpet. We were tracking President Marshal Itno Deby of Chad, who traveled to Paris about 5 times. All right. There was the last one was public. The four different episodes, they made it latent. So the last one, the way it was treated was even disrespectful. There was no red carpet, there was no presidential welcome. He just traveled to France like a normal guy, just walking on the streets with no security guard and all of that. So it wasn't even received the way a normal president should be received. But according to information, this last visit to Paris was the most important. According to information, that was where they finished the whole negotiation about the return of the French special forces to the eastern flank of the Sahel region. According to information, the French forces are in provisional capacity, and they have now given some military capability to the Chadian forces to improve their operational capability and to help them in their counterinsurgency against the Boko Haram. When I look at this information, yeah, Chad is fighting the Boko Haram right now. But when you look at the calculus on the line of contact, Chad is really, really prevailing. They are knocking off the Boko Haram at a significant scale. So the question is, in Chad, a country that has an uncountable number of generals, if you go to Chad, is the only country where you have more than 1,000 generals. I don't know if it's now honorary. They recently gave one of their, they gave a very young man, they gave him general recently, and it really caused some level of chaos in the country. General Chad is something, it's like biscuits, they dash it to people. So if you boast those, level of military experience within your, top military brass, then why should you be bringing the people you publicly remove from your country? Now you are bringing them privately, because it's not only shameful for France that they are silently returning back to Chad. It is equally shameful for President Marshal Itno Deby that France is equally entering his country back. And I want to, before I continue with this Le Monde's post, I want to show you the military capability that They are trying to tell us that it's going to improve the operational capability of the Chadian forces on the line of contact. Permit me to show you this military equipment. Man, I mean, I don't know. This is it. Look at these things. So these are the capabilities that will help, that will help Chad. All right. Those are the capabilities that will help Chad prevail against the Boko Haram. So unfortunate. According to information, they returned with about 5 of those buggy looking speedboats. And the Chadian forces are going to be using it. You can see the French flag and the Chadian flag on it. So now the French are going to be establishing a new military base towards the western flank of the country. That is towards Niger Republic. Oh my goodness. Now, you see, another partner of Chad that Chad recently had a military bilateral cooperation with is the United Arab Emirates. You see, families, when you look at the United Arab Emirates, when you take money out of the picture, the money which the UAE has been stealing from Sudan, when you take that money out of the picture, what reasonable military experience does the UAE have that they can cheer with Chad that is going to give them this sort of operation? It's so unfortunate. So Chad, another partner of Chad right now is the UAE, according to the information we've been given. So the French will return with their military base in Chad. Now, a lot of people will ask the question, why is it happening now? Why is the military base coming now? The military base would definitely be very important for the mission of France in the Sahel region to destabilize the region. Now, this whole talk of France destabilizing the Sahel region, what is the importance of destabilizing the Sahel region? It is the most important project of France. There is no economy project that France has other than destabilizing the Sahel region. They have nothing to do right now. When they wake up, is Sahel. Before the sleep is AES. Have you seen most of their televised? I don't think they've ever discussed for 24 hours without talking about the AES. It is very, very simple. That was the heart and soul of France. That was the heart, soul, body, spirit of France. Economically, what is the strategic, game-changing resources that that Benin have? The Cotonou port, Togo, the Lomé port, Ivory Coast, cocoa, the cocoa, that is it, cocoa and the ports of Ivory Coast. Ghana has gold, but Ghana is Anglophone, all right? Nigeria. But when you look at the Francophone Afrique bloc, the strategic powerhouse, the engine room of the Francophone Afrique were the countries of the Sahel region. In what capacity is Jamaica part of this engine room? I don't know. But when you let's look at Niger, for example. From Asamaka to Agadez, you see all the northern flank of Niger. They have oil, they have gold. When you look at the resources that is present in the northern flank of Niger, they recently discovered gold in like about 4 different fields in Niger Republic. They have oil and they have uranium. According to the information we had, there are other uranium mines different from the Halit mine. France have completely used up a whole uranium mine. Yes, that particular mine is closed. The way Orano disposed the uranium, contaminants was very, very devastating. So when you look at those key resources for Niger alone, all right, from oil to gold to uranium and to other rare earth minerals, you should ask a question. How come? Honestly, my apologies to Niger. I did not understand that Niger was such a bad boy. And they were second poorest to the poorest. You see, I know a lot of you have heard the information about Nigeria, the Nigerian government stripping the citizenship of a certain diaspora Nigerian that tried to serve the interest of the imperialists recently. And a lot of people wanted to argue. Let me put this straight to you. If you have that amount of resources and you cannot even have 6 hours electricity in 24 hours, if you are not angry with that type of individual that spoke against the interest of the country, then you are a candidate for persona non grata. Absolutely. Now I get where the fuel that ignites that anger of the Nigerians, I get where it's coming from. Look at those 3 resources. We are not talking about other resources. We're just talking about those 3. So the all those stuff, all those big sponsorships, no. The blood, sweat, and tears, the natural heritage of some people in Africa. So when they talk poverty before, they talk Niger. The question I'm going to ask you: are they poor now? Are they still on the same position they were? You see that a lot of countries now want to be partners with Niger. There's a reason for that. Then look at Burkina Faso. Look at their agro-pastoral offensive initiative. Look at the desert of Niger. Look at the irrigation program. So plants can even grow there. They did not only steal the resources of this region, they equally made the region a market for both expired and second-hand products, from medicine to other things. All right? Then look at Mali. Now, we are still on the Chadian issue, okay? There are 2 big proxies that have been used to destabilize Mali completely. 2. From the Burkinabe southern flank, the Fosatek Oroya has been able to knock the elements coming from Ivory Coast. They have been able to knock them to, God knows where. But in Mali, 2 countries have been very, very pivotal to the whole geopolitical escalation going on. Algeria, and most especially from the Tinzawantin border region, and Mauritania. Western flank, northeastern flank. Now Niger Republic. There are 2 countries now that France is going to be using. The Fezzan region of Libya and Chad. Before this whole deployment of the French forces, there is this group in Chad called the MPLJ. In fact, not just the MPLJ, there have been multiple attacks from the Chadian territory, but the Nigerian armed forces have completely befuddled those enemies. Now, look at Benin. Something is changing, because we should ask the question, why is it so important? The enemies of the Sahel feel there is a need to move into Chad at this point. Why is Chad the new piece that makes their puzzle complete? First of all, you see the northern part of Benin right now is getting seriously kinetic and unstable for, the elements of the JNIM from the Katiba Mansina in the northern part of Benin. You see, the northern part of Benin, if you look at the moves of President Romuald Wadagni, a lot of people, I think the repetition of President Wadagni is still hanging in the balance. And you can't blame people for having their doubts because of the reputation of President Patrice Talon. You cannot blame those people that said, no way. But it is very important to give peace a chance. All right? When you look at everything that President Patrice Talon has done, his collaboration with President Dramani Ouattara from Ivory Coast, how quick they contributed for the invincible standby forces. They said they were going to create some allocations that they were going to be given to the forces that were going to go to Niger. They were so serious about Niger, right? So if President Romuald Wadagni is coming out and is trying to make things work, which part of the framework is to remove the embargo on the border, right? Thank you so much, Rosie Angel, for coming. And I really want to appreciate everybody for coming to this live stream. So when you look at the behavior of certain AES, supporters, when the way they've been behaving to this good venture of President Romuald Wadagni, you can't blame them because of the reputation of President Patrice Talon. You can't blame them, all right? But that is not the conversation right now. President Romuald Wadagni has a bilateral security cooperation with Nigeria. The Nigerian forces and the Beninois forces, they are working in collaboration to clean up the northern flank of Benin, and the work has been extremely effective. Now, the Nigerian citizens are going to say something here, and I've been getting that question every time I talk about it. Nigerian citizens have been saying that, why is it that our forces go into Benin and they become so good, but they get back to Nigeria, the case is different? You see, politically in Nigeria, the case will always be different. But President Romuald Wadagni, according to the information getting to us, he has given the military the free hand to take the necessary measure to clean up the northern region of Benin. On the western flank of Benin, you have Togo, a no-nonsense, approach to the Katiba Mansina. So if you look at the whole collaboration that is going on now, Benin is ready to fight terrorism. And look at the latest cooperation from President Romuald Wadagni with Burkina Faso, with Niger, and with Mali. Don't you think that looks like a cauldron forming around a group of terrorists that are located in a hollow in northern part of Benin? Regardless of what the French interest in northern Benin is, do you think the operation can still go smoothly? President Romuald Wadagni is making some moves. And if you are in the position of France, you might be looking at those moves that what if, and what if not? And that is what has brought Chad into the picture. That is what has brought Chad into the picture. And when you look at the strategic locations of where you have the most important resources in Niger Republic. You don't find them near Niamey. It's not on the southern flank, it's on the northern flank. So you want to cross from the Beninese border? No, it's not going to be possible. You are going to fight the troops until you get tired. You can't beat their, and you can't beat the will of the Nigerian forces. They have a certain Islamic statement they make, and that is it for them. They don't care. They will fight you till you are ready to stop. Nigeria used to enjoy their collaboration with Niger Republic before. So now, looking at this new security architecture that is being built from the northern flank of Benin, it looks like time is up. You fight, you fight, you fight. Where is the attrition going to come from? Where is the refueling of the personnel capability of the Katiba Masina going to come from? If you look at Benin, if you look at the religion, if you look at the level of education, if you look at the lifestyle, refueling the personnel capability of the Katiba Masina is not going to be really possible. It's not going to be possible. Look at the population. So where can they get these radical elements? They will get them from Chad. The RSF, their real base has been Chad. Chadian forces fought with the RSF in Sudan. You see, at the end of the day, all these moves and maneuvers of the Chadian government and all of that, we end in regret. Now, if you look at President Marshal Itno Deby, the fruit don't fall from the tree. His father, Idrissa Deby, was very, very pivotal in destabilizing Mali. He was paid by France to destabilize Mali. He was the latent hero of destabilization that people did not look at. So his wife said it, that his main job, that's the father. And the son was following in the father's footsteps. And now, look at the son. The father worked for France to destabilize Mali, worked for France to destabilize Sudan, but the destabilization of Sudan from Chad was very, very negligible compared to his performance in Mali. And some of the Bedouin Arabs that were very, very pivotal in destabilizing Libya, they are also in Chad. So when you look at Chad, it has really, really been, it's a pressure cooker in the region. Now, we're not saying that there are no good people in Chad. There are good people in Chad. But the number of bad people there and how they are politically maneuvered is the shocking aspect of the whole thing. How easily they are politically maneuvered. Now, they are now going to pitch their tent in Chad. Do you know what that means? Supplying capabilities for the job of the terrorists will be so easy. Look at Chad, look at Niger. So what I'm thinking, I think the next theater of operation for a big asymmetric maneuver might be Niger. They failed in Mali. So where is the next significant theater of operation? That will be Niger. Will Niger be worth the risk? Absolutely. Look at the resources they have there. And look at the political chaos somebody from God knows where was trying to create. And look at where we are. That is why we need to appreciate those diasporans that are very, very honest. We need to appreciate that. every diasporan that is honest needs to be appreciated. Because let me tell you this, if you look at the build-up of this whole diasporan thing, as long as you are in the diaspora, right, you are like a proxy that can be activated whenever you need to be activated. Number one, you were intelligent, you were drained. You were intelligent. But for your intelligence to serve the purpose of the people, you had to be dragged away somehow, some way, maybe for greener pasture, for whatever reason. Look at the people that are saying everything negative about Burkina Faso right now. They are some of the Burkinabe diasporas. They create different channel, launch different propaganda campaign, even celebrate when Burkinabes have been unalived. If you look at the policy of the Françafrique, they tell you that your motherland is France. So any diasporan that is honest, you need to give them a lot of credit, because the financial resources to turn them completely against, to make them carry out espionage is there. And the diasporans that are very honest are really, really honest. But the ones that are dishonest, they are extremely dishonest. So the lady that was now declared, that has been declared persona non grata in Niger, what I just told you is what has just happened. It is very, very good that the number of honest diasporan outnumbers the dishonest ones. They try to use her to create an opposition. So it questions the whole relevance of democracy in the region. Nigeria has democracy. What is the security situation of Nigeria now? Nigeria is now, in fact, let's remove it from global. Nigeria is an embarrassment to Africa right now. Don't even talk about West Africa. Nigerians are not in different part of Nigeria. They are not in different part of Nigeria, of Africa, not just for business. Most of them are running away from the insecurity. Most of them are running from the insecurity. What do we have? We have democracy. Every time you talk about the military taking over, some people will come from God knows where and tell you that, oh, it's better we keep this, it's better this and that. It's a shame. The day you realize that the biggest enemy in any country in West Africa right now is the politician, then that's the day you start moving forward. They know when to play the religious card. They know when to go from, look, from xenophobia is going to enter tribalism. In South Africa, they have activated the xenophobic card. The ruling Afrikaner class wants to, they want to distract the black South Africans. And from xenophobic, they will turn to the tribalism card, where some South Africans will feel more South African than some other South African. It's coming to that. It's gradual, very, very gradual. So the moment we recognize that democracy is one of our biggest problems, there are different tools that support democracy. It's not for us. I won't lie to you. Don't ask from the Sahelian leaders that when are they going to have election. This is a corrupt process entirely. Nigerians, you are going to go to, look, Nigerians are talking about getting PVCs, but they are not thinking. If you are thinking forward, my question for you is, have you get your PVC? Are you ready to match the thugs that these people are going to deploy on the election? Have you prepared? One thing is for you to have your PVC. The second thing is for you to be able to match the violence of the election day. They are not going to use the thugs. They are also going to use the police. And if it gets out of the police control, they are going to use the military. Are you not in this country? Democracy is a crime. Look at the primary election. Look at how violent it is. Your vote is supposed to count, but is it going to count? We're talking about getting your voter's card. But on the election day, you go about complaining now, oh, they didn't allow us to vote. This one told me, this one broke bottle, this one did this. You're planning to get voter's card. Are you prepared for the violence? Are you prepared to, have you started making plans? Have you started strategizing on how you are going to match the violence? Because it's going to be violent. The ruling class are not going to just go. I look at people running them all about, and I'm looking at you that you are wasting your time. If you are not, look, the bigger plan should be to match violence with violence, because it's going to be violent. And they are going to try to use the state security apparatus to suppress you. Are you ready? Are you prepared? See, this is chess. Are you prepared for the chess and checkers? I looked at the last election. I saw how a lot of people just failed. You know, you said some people chased you, and I look at the number of people that chased and all of that. You did, you know, and this was how it all went. You did not prepare for all the, you know, content. You did not prepare for all the impossibilities. So when it happened, they caught you unawares, and it didn't catch some people unawares. All right. Well, I won't be here at that time of the election. I won't be in Nigeria again. And I think if I give you my own type of advice, you people are you claim to be too civil. You claim to be too civil, to be too peaceful, to do what is needed to take back what belongs to you, which is your destiny that some of these old people are wasting away. Look at the kids that were kidnapped in Oyo. Have they been returned? Okay, it's not the fault of the president, it's the fault of the governor. It's not the fault of the governor. Where are we now? A retired general was killed some days ago. He came there. Well, for those civilized Nigerians that continue to claim that they are civilized, and for those older generation that continue to lie that democratic regime is better than military regime, continue. And for those youths too that continue to defend what is not, continue. All right. It's like a lot of people don't realize that Nigeria is becoming an embarrassment. All right. So now that it's becoming very tough in Benin, they are now moving everything to Chad to destabilize Niger. All right. Now, when you look at the energy requirements of France to still become a sort of relevant European country, all right, it's going to be difficult for France if they don't reestablish what they call rapprochement, right? If they don't reestablish that relationship somehow through corruption or through whatever means, it's going to be extremely difficult for France. It is already difficult. So I feel like Chad is the new proxy. What is Niger going to do about it? Niger has equally, they've equally done, they've equally taken some very, very good steps. Recently, a lot of people, they've seen the recent diplomatic maneuver by the Nigerians to have bilateral collaboration with Turkey. It is not just going to be selling of military armament. Some Turkish special forces are going to be deployed in Niger. You match madness with madness sometimes. So, what are the French media, which we know are intelligence, they are this sort of MI5 deployment. When you see some of those journalists talking, they are not talking because they are journalists. They are talking because they are agents. All right. So, They said that the Sadat, they call them Sadat. They said Sadat Special Forces from Turkey. They call them mercenaries. They didn't even call them Turkish forces. They call them mercenary forces. They said they are now going to be deployed to Niger Republic. You know what that means? Give a dog, all right? Give a dog a bad name and kill it. That is the proverb. They say give a dog a bad name and kill the dog. The Russians call it African Corps. They continue to call it Wagner. It's for a reason. But now you have Russia in Niger, you have Turkey in Niger. And either you like it or not, Turkey is beginning superpower too, gradually. All right. So there is a geopolitical chess game right now. France is the most desperate of all. Look at the gold from Niger to Mali to Burkina Faso. Look at the gold. No wonder they call them the largest gold reserve. Gold. Burkina Faso produced just like from both artisanal and state's gold mine. It was tremendous. The largest record. All right. So, and when you look at Niger, nobody knew that Niger has a large amount of gold up until now. Then you look at Mali. There is no negotiation to this. You only have to be prepared for what is coming. The future is coming. Artificial intelligence, gold. The old world is fading away. So there is a necessity for that contest to happen now. And that contest is for your resources. I saw this fake professor from the United States. He has been invited to some channels. I've heard some of the things he has said before, but he was invited by one of these African personnel in suits, you know, who hyped them up. How for that man that got his professorship from God knows where. He said Donald Trump, when it comes to Africa, he said he is going to kill his way to the resources. And I looked at him. You still live in the Mongo Park era. You still live in the Mongo Park era. So, builds bust pipes or build or create diamond, right? Escalation make people stronger or it completely destroys them. If Sudan emerges from this conflict, which they are emerging, they are completely devastating the RSF. Geometrically, as the day goes now, Sudan is getting stronger, the Sudanese forces, right? If they prevail completely, and their prevalence has everything to do with whatever is going on in Iran right now, in the Persian Gulf, when they prevail, let me put it that way, Sudan will never be the same again. The Sudan before the crisis is not the same Sudan you are going to get after this crisis. They are going to become stronger with better capability. There was an escalation. Yes. Capabilities that they were not supposed to have. Normally, they have been able to have it. They will deal with some asymmetric terrorist sort of group after the main crisis, but they are going to become better and stronger. So, this is the time for chess. Burkina Faso is consolidating on so many positions. They are moving, they are pushing very hard. And if you look at the Sahel, they equally have bilateral cooperation with with Iran, right? They have with Iran, they have with Russia, they have with China, now they have with Turkey. They are making it official, they are making it serious now. So it is very, very simple. It is over for France. It was because of the pressure from the Sahel. They ran to Kenya for the, Africa Forward Summit and up and down the whole place. He ended up in failure. It is not because of any reason. Kenya was the British sphere of influence. France became so desperate. You see, the quest for survival can lead to anything. They became so desperate that they had to confront another country's sphere of influence, the same European, hemisphere. Without Africa, there's no Europe. That is why no matter how much immigration has created so much disadvantage in Europe, they will never ever create an anti-immigration law. Because that is part of the way through which they are able to continue to impose themselves on Africa. Well, so Chad is the latest antagonist. How long that is going to continue, we'll watch. But any other information we have from the Chadian front, now we're going to give you. Then there is this propaganda out there that a lot of people are complaining about. I said I'm going to address it before I go. Now, there was this letter that came out. All right. There was this communique that was released. I don't know if it's fake or true, from the JNIM, the Katiba group. They claim that they are going to be putting a bounty starting from 2 million euro on the Malian government. Immediately the information came out, right? 2 hours after I got the information, but I choose to not speak about it because it was completely irrelevant. I did not. I have the documents, but I did not post it. I did not talk about it. For everybody that think journalism is all about reporting everything you see, then you don't understand the essence of journalism. Even the people you are emulating, there are some information they choose to ignore. Why did they ignore the Starobel's attack in Russia? There is a reason, because they are not reporting everything. Whose interests are you reporting for? What is the JNIM? What credibility do they have? Why should you affiliate yourself with JNIM? Why should you give JNIM publicity? Who are the JNIM? What are they fighting for? Who are their victims? Who are their direct victims? Civilians, women, children, young people, old people. They burn houses, they destroy properties. Who are the FLA? So they released a dirty communique and they used euro as the currency. And so you posted it, you talked about it. I have noticed some things, me studying the Sahel region and whatever happens in the Sahel region. I have seen that some of these things are empty. Some of these threats are empty. It is called media terrorism. And the targets are the naive people and some of the uneducated ones. You should move tactically as a tactical civilian that you are. But it's so unfortunate that some people, they chose to give it some publicity. And by giving it publicity, the algorithm has been programmed in certain ways that it would escalate the information from there. The question you should ask is, when the JNIM released that communique, how did that communique get out? How did it get out? It got out through some terrorists, Western OSINTs, that published the information. Why are they publishing that information? Have you seen any recent attack from the JNIM or from the FLA? All they continue to tell you, they've lost so bad in Mali that they continue to tell you what they've accomplished, what they accomplished on April 25. Between April and now, you have the whole of May. That is not what it used to be before. All right? That is not what it used to be. They were badly, see, after April 25, they've been on the back foot. They've not reported. Have you seen anywhere where they reported, where the JNIM reported that this is the number of personnel we've lost